Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at a show, there's a certain ebb and flow to it. I felt that this show was off. It wasn't a bad show, but I felt like the ebb and flow of the show was completely off. Maybe it's because of Vince and Kenny McMahon dealing with Austin after the show was over, which I'm going to do a debate of the week on. But I felt like the show was off. That's just me. You guys tell me below if the show was off to you. Now, the opening of the show. I think this is where the thing went off track for me personally. You got some talking. Seth Rollins dealing with John Cena. And I didn't say this at my last Raw review, but bringing the general manager, the anonymous one. Why? I guess the reason I did not want to say the anonymous general manager because I was going to go off in a rant. You have a chance to do something entirely different, but you go back to square one, which you know is the anonymous general manager, which I didn't give a fuck about. I hated him before, at least halfway through the run of it. I hated it. So bringing it back, I instantly hated it. And I just paired it up with John Cena, made it worse. Now, Seth Rollins coming out didn't make it too bad, but it didn't help it. And then the fight afterward wasn't too bad. You're trying to spotlight the people for TLC, but having the anonymous general manager just ended the show for me personally on a great foot. It just ended up really badly. Now, the tag turmoil match, or the turmoil tag match, felt like a gauntlet match. Seeing that, well, a couple of teams were put on there. The ones that are the most spotlighted here, to me personally, is going to be the Usos and New Day. New Day? I saw a little bit of SmackDown and their debut. I see this here. Kofi with Biggie wasn't bad, but I'm going to say this honestly. As long as they're faces, this is bullshit. The only chance they have is to turn heel and to run with that thing as hard and as fast as possible. I'm saying it right now. If they don't turn them heel in the next month, this was completely stupid. 100% no holds barred, stupid. Now, in the end, the Usos won, which they spotlighted them to a certain point, which I don't have a problem with. I love the Usos. I haven't been happy that they've been turned generic, but I am very happy that they're still being spotlighted. They earned it. They worked their asses off, and they got it. And it looks like there's going to be something extra with one of them, and that's coming at the end of this review. I'm doing it last. Now, Eric Rowan versus The Big Show. I was not fond of seeing Eric Rowan on the Survivor Series 5-on-5 tag. I wasn't. I felt that Cesaro should have been the one to do it. Seeing that last week that Eric dealt with Big Show really didn't make a lot of sense. Saying he's a big bully isn't enough. Eric just went from heel to face with no backstory in between. You could say that Luke Harper is the reason that you got that. And to be honest, it wasn't enough for me personally. It wasn't. But seeing this wasn't too bad. Seeing that the Big Show is the one that's spotlighting Eric Rowan, and Eric Rowan at the end of the night was spotlighted again, really gives me a little bit of hope that the WWE realized they need to bring up some new stars. Seeing that Eric Rowan got a nasty knot in his head because Big Show dropped those steps on his head by accident. He hit him in the back, let those steps fall, and where they fell where they may, hit that boy dead in his skull right, I think on this side. He got a nasty knot in his head. It doesn't look good. I'm sure that must have hurt. But he did spotlight him. And I was alright with that. I didn't have a problem seeing Eric Rowan spotlighted. Fandango versus No One. Felt like it was needed and not needed. And I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. Seeing Fandango's new entrance with Rosa Mendez. I love me some Rosa. She's a beautiful woman. She don't have some great legs. I'm sorry. I'm not against her. she has a gorgeous face, nice body, nice pair of boobs, but she's kind of, I think, like bow-legged a little bit. She doesn't really look good in a dress with her legs, but I'm not against her. The only thing I worry about with these two is that they're going to clunk heads eventually. If they don't do this right, sooner or later someone's going to get a video of them clinking some really hard heads towards another. It's a dangerous thing that Fandango's doing. He's a heavy guy, way heavier than her, going full bore near her head. It's a chance he's going to bang her head, or if we're lucky, and that bastard could be lucky, bang his face into her tits. No match, Fandango wins. Rosa should be the one to announce him. She actually would make sense doing it, and I know people don't care about him because who cares about Fandango? I still believe he still is viable. Now, Rusev Maska comes out afterwards with the ravishing Lana. If I had to choose between Lana and Rosa Mendes, I'm not against Rosa. She got a bigger set of boobs. She's cute, but I would want me some Lana. You got my point. Their segment was good. The Pledge of Allegiance to the Soviet Federation was actually pretty good. But here's the problem. We're now dealing with Jack Swagger again for him. And my guess is they have absolutely no one for Rusev in the higher ranks of WWE to deal with. There's only a few people left. He can't go up against Batista. He's not there. He can't go up against Randy Orton. He's not there. He can't go up against Roman Reigns. He's not there. He can't go up against Daniel Bryan. He's not there. He can't go up definitely against CM Punk. And the only person that's left is John Cena, and he's busy right now. So they had to drop him down a few pegs because there's no one for him to deal with. So having a Jack Swagger deal with him was understandable. But you know what? Seeing that Zed got his ass handed to him because of Rusev could have given us something different. You could have brought out Sergeant Slaughter. I feel that, I know people are not going to care about the Sarge. Bring out Sergeant Slaughter as his new manager, as a former military officer, and he really sponsors the flag, the red, white, and blue, would make better sense than a Zed Coulter. He's younger, he's healthier, and I believe he would have been better here. Now the beatdown to Rusev wasn't that bad. It's not something we haven't seen, but I just don't think it's enough with Jack. I really wanted to see Sergeant Slaughter with him. Not saying to keep Sarge with him permanently, just until TLC. Now, wasn't much here in this show. We got the R-Truth to the Bray Wyatt. It was too long. This should have been a squash match for Bray Wyatt. To be honest, for me personally, seeing this doesn't give me a lot of hope for Bray Wyatt. This should have been a squash match for him. And if people who like R-Truth, well, let's be honest here, R-Truth has not had a relevant storyline since 2011 when he dealt with John Morrison. And he's easy a squash match. It should have been 2 minutes. Then he could have done his promo, and then Dean Ambrose could have came out. Now, the promo was good, but here's the problem. Dean Ambrose kicked the shit out of Bray Wyatt, which, what do we get from it? Nothing. Honestly, I really believe they have not structured Bray Wyatt at all here. And he's not getting over. I know the crowd still cheers for him. I know the crowd still pulls out their cell phones to put the lights on. I know the crowd still chants for him when it comes to his promo segments. But when you really see it for what it is, that doesn't mean it translates into the ring every single time. And Bray Wyatt's getting his ass kicked in the ring. He's not getting over here. And Dean Ambrose is not getting over here. Because Bray Wyatt is not getting over. Unless they do something substantial for him in the next 2 weeks, when TLC comes around, this just isn't going to work for me. But you guys tell me below what you believe is the best thing for Bray Wyatt. Tell me why Bray Wyatt is doing so well, or what can be done to him to bring him up. Because I'm not seeing it here. We got the Bella versus AJ, and one of the people chose on the WWE app. And that's Naomi. We got Alicia Fox and we got Natalya. We saw Natalya earlier with her husband. And as much as I love Natalya, she's got a nice body. She's cute. I'm glad they didn't choose her. I'm glad they chose Naomi. Naomi was the one that was spotlighted at the Survivor Series 4-on-4 elimination match. Traditional for women. So she should be spotlighted here as well. Doesn't mean she won the match. It was AJ who won it. But it's still good to see that Naomi is being given prominent time. And I know people are going to say, dude, Naomi is not that great of a talent. Yes, she has a big bubble butt and she's athletic, but what does she offer? She can offer a lot. I've said this before and I say it again. Naomi has something that's tangible, that's special. She's never been Divas Champion. And soon, I hope, this will be the time for her. She's earned it. So, second to last, 6-man tag. Cena, Dolph, and Ryback versus Seth, Kane, and Luke Harper, who, mind you, is not being spotlighted at all. He's just an afterthought. And the kicker for me, for this entire situation, Eric Rowan's being spotlighted with the Big Show. Luke Harper is not. The most he's working with is Dolph Ziggler, and they're trying to spotlight Dolph. So Luke Harper is completely forgotten in the shuffle. He just is. I don't like that. I really believe the most strongest person next to Bray Wyatt was Luke Harper. Eric Rowan was third. So now Eric Rowan, who's the most weakest of the three, is now being spotlighted with the Big Show. And Luke, I think I just said Luke Harper with Big Show. I'm sorry. But you can see my frustration. Eric Rowan, spotlighted. Luke Harper, not spotlighted. And he has the IC title, which makes it worse. Worse. So when it came down to the entire match, one person was spotlighted the best, and one person was spotlighted the least. The most best person spotlighted was Dolph Ziggler. He was highly spotlighted, and he's the one who won the match. The second person that I'm talking about that wasn't spotlighted was Ryback. Ryback is not being completely spotlighted, and he just doesn't seem to be strong like he was when he first came back. I've said this personally for myself. Ryback, if he really wants to get 100% over and have huge chance, one, he needs to drop the big guy moniker and change his clothes. 2, he needs to drop the stupid thing. 3, he needs to go back to not talking much and really spotlighting his strength. But we're not getting that from Ryback. So all the steam he had when he first came in, then dropped a little bit before Survivor Series, it's still exactly where it was by Survivor Series. He hasn't risen much. And when it comes to Dolph, he is rising to a certain extent. Does it mean he's going to really be in the main event? Look at my debate of the week on Dolph Ziggler. I may leave it in a connection below so you can take a look at it and see how I feel about Dolph. Because he has potential, but if he can't really make it, he could still be in the main event as like someone who could promote storylines. Now the final thing I'm going to talk about, for me personally, is something surprising. And I'm sure people are going to say it doesn't really matter. But to me it does. Miz Dower versus the Los Matadores Fernando. The match was okay, and Miz Dower to a certain extent was being spotlighted pretty good. But this wasn't about Miz Dower. This was about Miz, Naomi, and Jimmy Uso. Before that match, the Naomi got an offer from the Miz. Got an offer from the Miz saying, here, take my card. I can get you somewhere. Your video all night. I don't understand. The problem of this is that her music video, I believe, has been re-released again. But the problem is it came out 7 months ago. And they're talking about her from that video that came out 7 months ago. If this was done 7 months ago, you would have something here. And it upsets me beyond fuck that at this moment they're using something that was 7 months old instead of letting her release a new video. Unless it is about a new video, it should be about the old one that she did, and he talks about her ass twerking. In the end, the match with Miz Dower and Fernando was not the key here. Miz Dower won his match, but it was about Jimmy Uso walking down and smacking the taste out of the Miz's mouth. Now we know that the Usos got the match at TLC. No problem with it. But could we actually have something that the WWE has not done in an incredibly long time? Could we have two talents having a feud over a third talent? In other words, Jimmy Uso having a feud with The Miz due to the fact The Miz hitting on his woman. I'm actually interested in seeing this happen. Will it happen? Probably not. The WWE won't have the balls to do it. But if they do this, and they build this going into TLC, and they have The Miz up against Jimmy Uso in that tag team match, and the match DQs or something, and it's only going to be about one thing: The Miz against Jimmy Uso. Does this mean Jimmy is going to have a run on his own? No. But it will give us something entirely different. It will give us two talents fighting against each other because of a woman who's another talent. I want to see this. When was the last time we saw something like this that could actually be something interesting? The Miz has a great ability to talk. Jimmy Uso has never really did a lot of talking, but if this works out, it could be something tangible. We could have something so interesting that the 18 to 34 demographics could actually grab onto it. It could be a real soap opera moment. And I'm not a soap opera fan, but it could be dramatic enough that it could be useful, interesting, getting Naomi over, and maybe getting her into the Divas Championship title hunt. The Miz, who's always been relevant and doing something really nasty and underhanded, doing something like this. Jimmy Uso, who's never really had a run on his own. And I doubt it's going to be very long. I'm going to go right back to his brother. But giving him something different to do. How do I feel about this show? Like I said, the show just didn't feel right. The opening of the show with the anonymous general manager, I think, threw it off for me personally. Most of the show was interesting, but seeing what happened with Jimmy and The Miz gives me hope to give me something totally different. Even if it's only a month's feud, I want to see this. A real, possible, dramatic storyline where Jimmy Uso, who's a jealous motherfucker, sees that his wife, next to getting hit on, could get somewhere, and The Miz instigating it. So I hope you enjoyed this Zane's View. Please give me a comment below. And I will be doing my debate of the week on Vincent Kennedy McMahon and Steve Austin and their podcast right after the show. I hope you watch it, and I hope you have a good day. Peace out!